Welcome to Just Minding My Business Radio, where we are moving at the speed of God, learning what we didn't know we didn't know. I'm your host, Ida Crawford.
And I'm your co-host, Ruth Haskins.
So grab a pen and paper and get ready for information that you can use.
Welcome to Just Minding My Business Media, LLC. We hope your day was filled with powerful possibilities, which you recognized and to which you were able to respond with positive results. Today, we welcome the authors of the upcoming anthology, Courage in Cannabis, envisioned by Dr. Bridget Williams. Dr. Williams is a board-certified family physician and medical director of Green Harvest Health, a medical cannabis clinic in Ohio. We look forward to sharing with you, our audience, insights and experiences surrounding this controversial topic. Next, we welcome Charlana McKeithen, who is the founder and executive director of the Political Action Committee and nonprofit Cannabis Laws Matter, CLM, formerly Garden State NORML.com. CLM advocates for cannabis laws and regulations that will work on behalf of the cannabis patients, consumers, and those who have been historically and disproportionately affected by our nation's war on drugs. Charlana is a patient, advocate, educator, citizen lobbyist, public speaker who interacts with many diverse groups, including community leaders and politicians. Her perspective: Charlana is a 46-year-old disabled Black woman who uses medical cannabis as a replacement for multiple prescriptions, including opiates. Welcome, Charlana.
Hello, good evening. How are you?
Good. Welcome, welcome. Wow. How did you get on this road? Tell us what sparked it.
What sparked it was health issues. Like some of my friends growing up, I did not indulge in cannabis, marijuana back then. It didn't sit right with me. It made me tired and sleepy. And how are you going to hang out with your friends when you sleep? So that just wasn't for me. So I didn't do it at a young age. Like I said, people around me did. They did it to study. I didn't know the benefits of studying, because that I might have went down that path. But I was also a little bit afraid of mama. So I didn't do everything my friends did. I was too scared to who I had to go home with and answer to. So that was another reason why I didn't consume cannabis at a young age. But down the road, I started dealing with mental health problems, and it was severe depression and bipolar disorder. I was diagnosed with it eventually. And, in our community, it's a stigma on mental health and medication. And so I was constantly being told, you don't need that, don't take it. But yet I was dealing with these issues by myself, and I had no one there to help me through it. And so, the doctor started saying, listen, if you're serious about this, then you'll take these medications. And so after a lot of back and forth, I finally did it because I wanted to get better. And what was happening is I would take the medication, feel great, I'm going out, because I wouldn't go out for 45 days at a time. It started to become a pattern. And then when I did have that window when I would go out, I would try to get as much done as possible because I knew what was coming. So like I said, I would feel great. And then I would start feeling down and go down and down. And I started having suicidal ideations. I started thinking about committing suicide. And so I went to the doctor, explained what's going on. They changed the medication. Same pattern would happen. I would feel great for a while, then I would start spiraling down. And so after going through this, they put me on just about every medication out there that insurance would pay for. And the only other option was to kind of take a DNA test to see what medications would work for me. But 9 times out of 10, my insurance wouldn't pay for them. And so it's just started getting really bad and started to become scary when I kept having the suicidal thoughts, because it was becoming stronger and stronger each time I went down that path. And so, I got really frustrated. I had enough. And so I started doing research. I said, I can't be the only person having this problem. And so what I found out is there's another type of bipolar that can't take antidepressants. And so what I had to do, yes, they make you suicidal. So what I had to learn to do was change the process, my thought process, and what I took in. I couldn't take in negative movies, TV shows, listen to negative things, have negative people around me. I had to change my life because that was my only option, because I couldn't take the medication. Yes. And it was hard because you're trying to change how the chemicals process in your brain. And it took a long time. It was hard work, and I still had these doctors who would still convince me to get on medication. So that's why I kind of stopped seeing therapists until I found someone who would respect what I told them and what was happening with me. So a little bit down the road, I started having problems with fibroids on my uterus. And so it was so bad to the point I would become anemic, and I had to have multiple blood transfusions. And from that, we believe I now have fibromyalgia, autoimmune disease. And guess what you take for fibromyalgia? Antidepressants and pain medicine. And I can't take antidepressants, and I don't want to go down the road of opioids. And when that happened, I pretty much lost my quality of life. I didn't go out the house at all for a long time. I needed at that point a caregiver, which my insurance paid for, like that level of caregiver, not you asking somebody to come over and help you a little bit.
Yeah.
And so, I struggled even walking from room to room in the house. So, being independent, and I was still fairly young. I was late 30s, dealing with all of this. They don't have classes to teach you how to be disabled. So as a young person, going through that was extremely difficult. I kept most of it to myself because I knew how to help, but I didn't know how to accept help. And so it became a struggle, of a hard lessons learned struggle. And so the reason why I ended up down the path of cannabis, because I was always interested in it. I was eyeing it from a, business perspective, kind of curious perspective. And so a family member introduced cannabis to me from the medicinal side. And when that happened, I started to get my life back. It wasn't full 100%, but it was definitely better than where I was. I was able to go out. I even started speaking at events, going to conferences. It was still painful, don't get me wrong, but it wasn't to what I was dealing with in the past without medicinal cannabis. So that's how I ended up getting in this space.
My goodness, I've heard you say some really important things. You talked about research, doing your research. That helped you. Oh my goodness, that is a powerful story.
Thank you.
It's a powerful story. Because people, and I'm even thinking to myself as I was listening, I'm thinking, okay, so when you said that you started taking cannabis, you started feeling better. How long did it take you to notice that there was something different in the way that cannabis was affecting you physically, emotionally, mentally?
Honestly, because of how bad I was, it was immediately. Certain types of cannabis, depending on how you consume it, whether it's tinctures, you know, vapes, smoking, it took effect immediately. And what someone like me, you have to learn to microdose. And microdosing means, every couple of hours you need to consume again so that the pain continues to level off. It's just like prescription drugs. When the doctor says, take this pill every 4 to 6 hours, and then take this pill, in this time frame, it's the same thing, but just you're using cannabis instead.
Okay, wow. All righty. That's, again, it's knowledge because people don't know. People are thinking that people are sitting around vaping or however you want to take it, 24 hours a day. And that's not what it is. And like I said, I think one of the most important things that you mentioned is research. You did your research because
Yes.
you were curious. You were hearing about it. So my prayer is that our listening audience, that those who think they might need this or be able to use it, that they go and do their research.
Absolutely.
Have that knowledge for themselves.
Yes.
Absolutely. See, I have a technical background, and so research and looking up things is very important to getting your goals accomplished in our industry. And so that was really important. Plus, when I started going down that path, my faith saved me. I've been in Catholic school most of my life and grew up in the Baptist church, and that was a no-no. And so that's when my faith kicked in and said, Char, this ain't right. And so that's when I had enough. I was angry at that point, and I started doing my research. And it was scary that this information is out there, but the doctors didn't know.
I love the fact that you said your faith kicked in.
Yes.
Because
Oh,
really,
yes.
again, this is my belief. I believe that everything that we need, God created and put it on the earth for our
Yes.
use. Now, there's some things that we're not going to use because they're poisonous to us, but they're fine for animals. But what we need is here. And a lot
Absolutely.
of the medical program is to make sure that we don't get what God has already provided for us. And it takes faith to say, okay, well, I know what you're saying, but this is what I know.
Right. And I was at 15 pills a day, multiple times a day. And so once I added cannabis, I was down to maybe 3 or 4. And some of them was like supplements just to make sure everything stayed on track. But in terms of my faith, I told my pastor about what I do. We're Facebook friends. I talked about it. And the change I've seen in him is when he does his sermons, he doesn't knock medicinal cannabis. And so if we start having these conversations in our communities and inside the church and talk to the pastors and even do demonstrations to show how these products work, you could do something as simple as a hemp salve and use the cream so that people can see you can start moving and being more functional with these products. And that's the hemp plant. And it's also from a business perspective. So you have health as well, and those are things our communities need to look at.
Yes, I agree. I agree. Talk to me a little bit about the political action committee that you have.
Oh, okay. So I have 2 nonprofits. One is a 501c3 and one is a 501c4 under Cannabis Laws Matter. And it was formerly Garden State Normal. I was the only normal chapter in the State of New Jersey, founder and executive director. So by me traveling and speaking at different places about cannabis, and you can't take it with you from state to state, the prices are very high in our state. And so I wanted to start seeing the reform from another perspective. How can I help change? What can I do to get the voice out for the Black and Latino communities, especially where it was hit hardest by the war on drugs? So I worked with several organizations in New Jersey, and we've lobbied, testified in front of the New Jersey State Assembly and Senate. I've spoken at the New Jersey State Democratic Convention in 2019. It's about getting yourself out there, and trust me, it wasn't easy, because I would go to a function or walk around the State House holding back my tears from the pain. and then I would go home and have to pass out for a couple of days and get it back together. So it's been a journey, because New Jersey has legalized adult use cannabis. And so, this is the next journey, working with, again, our minority communities to help people either from an entrepreneurial perspective, or not everyone's meant to be an entrepreneur. Some people want to get a good paying job to take care of their family. So however our communities need to benefit, that's what we're doing now in terms of trying to help people benefit from the cannabis industry. After all, the advocates paved the way.
That's right. That's right. So how do people get in contact with you if they want to become a part of what you're doing?
They can either go to our website, Cannabis Laws with the S matter.org. You can email me, Charlana1@hotmail.com. That's CHARLANA, the number 1@hotmail.com.
All right. And in the book, what's the name of your chapter?
Shining a light. And basically that means shining the light on who we are and fighting through whatever we're going through, fighting the industry in terms of getting what's owed to the communities hurt hardest by the war on drugs. Just it's something that's in you that can fight this fight. Whatever you're fighting, whether it's your health, whether it's social justice, social equity, having it in you to do it.
And I'm telling you, listening to your testimony and what you're doing and doing it in pain and still out there doing, I definitely commend you for.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Go right
No,
ahead.
I was going to say, and one last thing, I believe in advocating across state lines. So I was also advocating in Delaware, also doing the lobbying work, walking around their state house in Dover. So there was a lot of work put in, and there continues to be a lot of work. So we have to help our fellow states to get this done.
Yes. Okay. So if anybody wants to get involved, this is the lady. Definitely reach out to her, because I think that, it's very important. Why should something that can help us physically, mentally, and financially be treated like a demon?
Absolutely. And our legislators need to see our faces.
Yes.
We can't say this is beneficial and it helps, but it helps our community, but they're not seeing our faces saying we want this.
Mm-hmm. Well, we're looking forward to definitely following you and supporting you.
Thank you.
In this endeavor. So we will definitely stay in touch and see how we can make a difference in the cause.
Absolutely. And I appreciate you having me and hearing my story.
Thank you
Thank
for
you.
sharing.
Thank you for sharing.
Thank you.
Thank you for tuning in to Just Minding My Business Radio. I'm your host, Ida Crawford.
And I'm your co-host, Ruth Haskins.
We hope you enjoyed the show and appreciate you stopping by. Many blessings to you and yours.